Live. It is Sunday, February 2nd, 2025. So the groundhog saw his shadow, Punxsutawney Phil, which means 6 more weeks of winter, but things are certainly heating up at the winter box office with a new number one movie, a film that opened very, very well. We'll talk about that. And the film that did okay with its opening weekend right here on LCJ Live. Happy Groundhog Day. Here's my pal. There he is. The groundhog. Saw a shadow. 6 more weeks of winter. But I think this winter box office is doing well now, and it's going to continue in a couple weeks with Captain America and Paddington. This weekend's winner is Dogman. Congratulations to DreamWorks on a $36 million opening weekend. That makes it the second biggest open for an animated film ever in the month of January, behind the studio's own Kung Fu Panda 3, which opened at the very end of January back in 2016. Did close to 42 million. This is 36 for Dogman. That is huge, especially considering most kids got to go back to school tomorrow. So lots of families went on Thursday and Friday, but a lot yesterday and more today, especially during the day. Theaters doing very well with Dogman. $36 million. That's fantastic. And more than triple of what the second place film did this weekend, Companion. Companion only made $9.5 million. That's a little low to me, especially, coming out of the gate Monday with those Regal Monday Mystery Movie and AMC Screen Unseen showings. Were about $600,000. Then it did another 1.1 Thursday. You do some math. Is it a multiple of 8, 9, 10-ish? And then it only does 9.5. I'm sure Warner Brothers wanted it to have at least 10 million this weekend. It could not get there. So a lot of people out of the gate wanted to see it, but it has slowed down a little bit over these last couple days. I thought this could do more, especially off of the buzz of Monday. I don't love Companion. Mike Sargent and I review it on an upcoming Too Fast, Two Films podcast episode, along with Best Picture Oscar nominee I'm Still Here. Check that out later this week at toofast2films.com. I thought Companion was not a great movie. It's kind of average. Interesting premise, but goes in very predictable directions once you know where things are headed, and not very entertaining. Not unwatchable, but just nothing special. But the audience at my screening sort of liked it for the most part, so I thought the word of mouth was going to be big. Now, if the word of mouth is okay, you could have another maybe 7 million next weekend, 5 million after that for Valentine's, maybe. But I think Warner has to be a little disappointed that this did not get to 10 million or more. I really thought it could do closer to 15. So underwhelming for Companion, which is not a great film, but big day for Dogman, which is fun. It's zany, fun, energetic. I spoke with Peter Hastings, the director. Check out that conversation. Lights-camera-jackson.com in the podcast section, as well as Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the text version at animationscoop.com. He put a lot of work into this Dogman movie based on Dave Pilkey's books, and it's fun, and it's got a lot of great dialogue and energy, and it has the mindset of how kids would think about writing this story. This comes from the Captain Underpants universe. Captain Underpants movie from 2017. Hilarious dialogue about the school system and the education system that I thought was great. And this movie, it's about the relationship between a dog and a cat, a son and a father, and a dog and an owner, and there's a boss, and there's a lot of dynamics at play, relationships, romantic relationships. It's a good time for families. Look at all these family movies continue to do so well. Families love the theatrical experience. It took a little while because of COVID for families to return, but you still had something like Sing 2 do $163 million even in that Christmas 2021 to early part of 2022 timeframe, when a lot of people were still concerned about returning to the movies. You still had The Croods: A New Age do almost $60 million even in the height of the early part of COVID. Families love the theatrical experience, and ever since we've had so many animated movies breaking records all-time top 10 lists now with Moana 2 and Inside Out 2 and Despicable Me 4 did really well and Spider-Verse and all these animated films. Mario, over the last few years, animation continues to thrive. Paddington in Peru, partially animated, opens on the 14th. That'll do well. At the end of the month, it's the animated Looney Tunes film, The Day the Earth Blew Up, which I saw back in October, I believe. That comes out February 28th. Then Night of the Zoopocalypse, which I have seen. I can't really share opinions on it, but I have seen it. It comes out March 7. A Sloth Story, which I've also seen, comes out March 14. So these animated family films will continue to bring in audiences, as have been these ones that came out in November and December. Mufasa the Lion King in third this weekend, even with competition from Dogman. It still managed $6.1 million. Mufasa is up to 229.5, and it's just $1 million underneath Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which added 3.2 million this weekend in sixth. That's at 230.6 million for Paramount. It is now the 8th biggest non-Transformers and non-Iron Man film for Paramount since 1997. That is an accomplishment. Also, Moana 2 in 7th, 2.8 million, 453.9 total for Disney. It is the 6th biggest animated film of all time. Even with Dogman with 36 million this weekend, you still had, let's see, you still had $12.1 million go to those other 3 family films. And then Wicked did another 1.2 million. It's up to 470.9. So you had over $13 million go to other family films, even with Dogman this weekend. That's how much families love going to the movies. The 4th place film is One of Them Days, which made another 6 million. Its drops have been small. It's doing well. It's up to 34.5 million for Sony. That's very good. It'll pass 40 million. Could make a run at $45 million. Number 5 is Flight Risk. Your weekend champion last weekend, down to 5.6 million this weekend. A bit of a drop. It's at 20.9 million for Lionsgate. I don't think it reaches what Den of Thieves 2 Pantera has done for Lionsgate. That added 1.6 million in 10th this weekend. It's up to 34.5 million total. Den of Thieves 3 is confirmed. Number 8 this weekend is very interesting because it's the 3rd weekend in a row that a complete unknown came in 8th place. And prior to these 3 weekends, A Complete Unknown was the number 6 movie for 3 weekends in a row. 6 for 3, 8 for 3. People want to see this movie before the Oscars. It's up for Best Picture. And with everything going on, it now may have a good chance at winning Best Picture of the Year, and Timothée Chalamet up for Best Actor. A Complete Unknown added 2.2 million this weekend. It's at 66.7 million. It is now the 6th biggest Searchlight Pictures film of all time. And number 9 this weekend is The Brutalist, which added 1.9 million, a Best Picture and Best Actor contender for Adrian Brody. Added 1.9 million. It's at 12.1 for A24. It's close to getting into the top 5 at the 2024 for A24, but when it comes to the studio, Heretic is their 8th biggest film of all time, and now Baby Girl is their 10th biggest film of all time. All these records keep breaking. It's fantastic for theaters. It's fantastic for the box office. Outside of the top 10 this weekend, Valiant 1 only did 725,000. Green and Gold, we don't have the money on. September 5, 320,000. It's at 2.2 million. I wish it did more. If it got a Best Picture nomination, it would be making more. Wolfman, only 1.2 million. That's only at 19.9 for Universal. What a flop. And Presence added 1.3 million. It's at 5.9 for Neon. You might say not a lot, but actually, it's about to pass Cuckoo to be in the top 10 all time for Neon. It'll get to 6.3 million, and it will be one of Neon's 10 biggest films ever. So there you go. Those are your weekend box office results. We don't have the money as well yet on Love Me. A film called Love Hurts comes out this weekend with Ke Huy Quan and Ariana DeBose. Also, Hard Eyes, which is the horror romantic comedy. So you have an action romance, and then you have a horror romance comedy. Both are going to go after, I guess, the same crowds, the young adults, who some of whom may have gone to see Companion this weekend. Interesting that we're getting the pre-Valentine's Day with all these movies because on Valentine's Day, like I said, you have Captain America and Paddington. So these other Valentine's Day themed movies wanted to get ahead of both of those. Love Hurts and Hard Eyes. I think Hard Eyes might do okay. Love Hurts, so-so. Dogman will very, very likely be the #1 movie again next weekend, which would be great. In limited release next weekend, Armand, which I have seen. Ugh, I wanted to like this movie, but it's not good. It spirals out of control. It's a drama about um, a mother and father. They're parents to these two young kids in an elementary school, and the principals at the school bring them in to talk about a situation that's unfolded between these kids, and it gets crazy. And I don't love the twists, especially one early on when you realize something. You go, "Oh, really? Did it have to be that? Did these two sets of adults really?" Yeah. So there's some things that happen, and then it just goes berserk and weird and wacky and different just for the sake of being different. I don't recommend Armand. Parthenope. I'm looking forward to this. It's the latest from Paolo Sorrentino. Won the Oscar for The Great Beauty. Youth was my #1 movie of 2015, and then the Hand of God I thought was very good. So Parthenope is out limited. Also, Becoming Led Zeppelin, the Led Zeppelin documentary, is in IMAX theaters starting this Friday, and then goes nationwide regular theaters on the 14th. Today, of course, is Groundhog Day. If you're just joining us here on LCJ Live, happy Groundhog Day to all of you. The movie Groundhog Day is on TV today. And tonight is the Grammy Awards. That'll be very interesting to see how that goes. Also, next weekend, limited release, re-release, Parasite in IMAX. So some theaters are going to have Led Zeppelin, but also this week, the Parasite. Big, great movie from 2019. Your Best Picture winner that year is back in IMAX this week. This Friday night is the Critics' Choice Awards. Friday, Feb 7, this Friday, 7 o'clock Eastern, live on E, hosted by Chelsea Handler for the third time. The show was originally supposed to be Jan 12, then it got moved to Jan 26, and now here we are, Feb 7 for Critics' Choice. I voted for the awards several weeks ago. All the votes were locked in by about Jan 10. So all the votes have been locked in, and now finally, some 4 weeks later, the winners will be revealed. And then the Annie Awards is this Saturday night, Feb 8 in the evening, about 10 p.m. Eastern, that live stream. I always enjoy the Annie Awards. My Animation Scoop boss, Jerry Beck, behind that, Asifa Hollywood, all that. So that'll be Saturday night. And then next Sunday, it's the Super Bowl. Fly, Eagles, fly. When we're back here next Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern, we'll talk about the box office with Love Hurts and Hard Eyes. And Dogman, I think, is going to win again. We will preview the Super Bowl, and we will recap the Critics' Choice Awards and the Annie Awards and see where things are in the state of the awards season. If you want my interview with Dougal Wilson, the director of Paddington in Peru, tomorrow, go to animationscoop.com, lights-camera-jackson.com. In the podcast section, it'll be in there, but also Podbean. lcj.podbean.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. That interview goes live tomorrow. Had a great conversation with Dougal. This is his first feature. He's done music videos and short films and lots of other things, but has never directed a feature, and took on the follow-up to what some consider the greatest movie of all time, Paddington 2. So there's a preview clip up on YouTube if you're here. Thank you. Of our conversation and more available tomorrow. Had a good chat with him. Any questions or comments, send them in right now here on this Groundhog Day episode of LCJ Live. As always, go to X at LCJ Reviews, Instagram at LightsCamJackson, lights-camera-jackson.com. Like I said, Too Fast, Two Films back this week, later this week, with I'm Still Here and Companion. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. And turn on your notifications. We go live every Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern with LCJ Live, with the box office, with the other news, with what's happening in the world of movies and television. This award season, we've got Critics' Choice and the Annies. We've still got the BAFTAs and the Spirit Awards. and the SAG Awards, and of course the Academy Awards, which is it 4 weeks from today? If it's Feb 2, yes, 2 to 9, 9 to 16, 16 to 23, 23 to 2. 4 weeks from today, it's the Academy Awards, and what's going to be one of the most high profile and fascinating Academy Award shows, and probably one of the more serious Academy Award shows in a long time. So we'll break it all down here on LCJ Live. Thanks for watching. Have a good week. I'll see you next Sunday as we cheer on the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Happy Groundhog Day. Thanks for watching, everybody. And congrats again to the folks at DreamWorks and Dogman. Bye-bye.